Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today we're taking a look at the Origin X1 FAQ, but also in a bit more detail looking at the Nox and the Dragonfly and comparing them all, helping you choose the right one for you, or at least understanding all their places in the universe. If you haven't seen my X1 ship buyer's guide, then it's worth taking a look at that first. Links below. I will go over a couple of the points I made in that video again here because it will help build your information and knowledge base. Vehicles have their own smaller component size when compared to ships. Literally, vehicle size being the smallest of all the components, vehicle size. And then you have ship-sized components, which are size 1 to 4, being light or small, medium or standard, large, and then capital size. Weapon sizes are standardized across ships and vehicles, so a size 1 weapon is a size 1 for both ships and vehicles. Components are ranked from A to D, A being best in class. They will have manufacturers and names fleshed out for each of these different components, so specific models of things in the future. Civilian are all-round components and are typically cheaper. Industrial are focused on output, so an industrial shield might give a lot of protection, but the downside of that might be that it generates a lot of heat and EM, or requires a lot of power, or all of them. Competition is more focused on racing. There's also stealth and military, which are more focused on those roles too. The X1 baseline and Dragonfly have civilian C-grade components as standard. The Velocity, the X1 Velocity, has a lighter hull, and with the Nox, both have competition C-grade components. The Force has industrial C-grade components and an extra shield generator. With the C-grade components as standard, you'll see that there's effectively a lot of room for upgrading and improving these bikes as well. So eventually you could have your competition Velocity all with lots of A-class components. The Nox and the Dragonfly have 2 size 1 weapons, and the X1 Force and base variants both have 1 size 1, and the Velocity has no weapons at all. You're going to be able to strip the weapons down on your Dragonfly and your Nox if you wanted to for a lighter vehicle, and replace the standard components with others focusing on whatever you want to have, whatever your needs are. So compared to the Nox and Dragonfly, the X1 is an all-rounder. The X1 baseline and Force have the most durable hull of all the bikes. The X1 Velocity can reach higher speeds than the standard X1s or the other X1s and the Dragonfly, making it competitive with the Nox in a straight line. The Nox possibly having the advantage with its fixed thrusters and ability to start turning more quickly. The Dragonfly is better than all of the other bikes, though, on more rugged terrain. The Force is slightly wider to accommodate the extra shield generator, and the Force has industrial components as well, as we discussed earlier, and because of that, its scanners are better than the other bikes. But the scanners don't have any extra abilities or anything, they're just like better baseline scanners, so they might be able to detect IR slightly further out and that sort of stuff. It doesn't have the ability to drop any nav beacons or anything else like that. The bike was talked about in the aspect of being able to be a recon-esque bike, but that's because it can take the extra hits if it gets spotted when it's being reconnoitering around. The extra shield does make it rather durable though when it's combined with its speed and hull compared to the other bikes. The X1 baseline is intended to be a cheaper non-specialized bike when compared to the Force and Velocity variant. The X1s are different hulls though. Each of them is a different hull variant, so you can't upgrade an X1 baseline to be a different variant with loadouts or equipment or anything. They are different hulls. The Velocity doesn't have the size 1 weapon hardpoint, and it does have a lighter hull. The size 1 weapons from the baseline and Force can be replaced with any other size 1 weapon that you want. It's the same with the other bikes as well. You can replace the 2 size 1 weapons on the Dragonfly or the Nox with any size 1 weapons you want. Transportation. So vehicles, bikes, don't have quantum drive or jump drives. The bikes are able to fly around in space, but as soon as they enter an atmosphere of a planet, they are treated as ground vehicles, and they can't fly around those planets, nor are they able to exit and enter atmosphere by themselves. They do require some form of transportation. The bikes can be safely secured and transported in. The Caterpillar, the Freelancer, the Constellations, the Starfarers, the Retaliator, as long as it's got a cargo module, the Cutlass Black, the 600i, the Carrack, the 890 Jump, the Polaris, and larger, so think Idris M&P and the Javelin. Ships that you're not going to be able to deploy a bike safely from are the Avenger and the Reliant. Though they may physically fit in some cases, they're not going to be able to be secured in the cargo area, and that could cause your ship to explode or them to fly around everywhere and be damaged themselves. Note as well that it's extremely likely that you're going to be able to put these bikes in some of the other ships, like the Banu Merchantman and the Reclaimer, as well as the Endeavour. Obviously, the Endeavour has a hangar module as well, which you can buy separately, and that's going to have loads of room for bikes. But the only thing that really stops these bikes being put into ships is having enough cargo space to secure the bike and literally having enough of a gap for the bike to fit through to get into that cargo space and to exit safely from. Although the Dragonfly as well is a bit bigger than the other bikes, it does have a storage mode which helps save space. It literally compacts down when it's going into a cargo area. All the bikes are open canopy and don't provide any form of life support. Your EVA suit or armour is your protection and oxygen supply, basically. You don't want to take a direct hit either, because that's going to hurt a lot if it goes through your shields. The X1 will be coming with a 3.x patch. More details on that exactly once 3.0 has been released. The Nox and the Dragonfly, however, are coming with Alpha 3.0, as apparently, and as expected, their skins, the Q and Yellow Jacket, will also be in there as well. As with the other bikes and snubs, the X1 is great for short-range travel in space and getting into hard-to-get areas like dense asteroid fields and derelicts. Of all the bikes, only the Dragonfly has cargo space, 1 SCU in total, which is split between the rear seat, which is 0.5 SCU, assuming no one's sitting there, and 2 rear mounted containers, each of which are 0.25 SCU each. It's bringing it all the way up to a maximum of 1 SCU cargo capacity, which could be invaluable if you're riding around the verse, or you want something to be able to pick up stuff as you go along, because, you know, the other bikes don't do that. The ship matrix will be getting the updated new masses of vehicles and ships soon. The velocity will be close to the Nox in weight, and the force will be closer to the Dragonfly in weight. If you want to pick up loot or have an extra passenger seat, then the Dragonfly is the only choice bike-wise, unless you want to go for a larger vehicle, obviously, like the Tumbril Cyclone or the Urza Rover, and then obviously you can carry a lot more people or loot or whatever. If you want to race with a bike, then the X1 Velocity and Nox are the best choices, although it does sound like the Nox is going to have the advantage in a race. If you are after a tankier bike, then the X1 Force is going to be a better choice, and for DPS and skirmishing, the Nox again is likely to be the best choice with speed and firepower, though you could definitely argue that the Dragonfly, with the ability to have that extra passenger facing the rear of the vehicle and then being able to fire as well, might be a better choice if you want raw DPS. And I do expect that all the bikes will be pretty easily obtainable in the verse as well. You're going to be able to buy them in the game with Alpha UEC in 3.1 anyway. Every month we give away a ship. For October it's a Constellation Aquila with Urza Rover and P-52 Snubcraft. All you need to do is be subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my Star Citizen videos during that particular month. Do you have any questions about the X1, the Dragonfly, the Nox, or the Snubs, or bikes, or whatever, Alpha 3.0, or Star Citizen's development in general, chuck them down below, and I'll try and answer them. A special thank you to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do. If you're interested in becoming one of them, then please find the link to Patreon down below. As I said, with everything else we've talked about, please don't forget to like and subscribe as well, as it really does help me, and I'll see you in the verse.